You see the ad on TV. Ooh. Or that new car drives by. Ooh. As a kid, that new bike rides by. Or the hoverboard now. I want one of those. That made it on my list. Whether well-fed or hungry, whether in abundance or in need, I'm able to do all things through Him. Check one. Check two. Here's how you learn contentment. But he does tell us this. I'm able to do all things through Him who gives me strength. I'm able to do all things through Him who gives me strength. So he doesn't give us a checklist, but he gives us the person who can help us learn contentment. So it's a learned skill, but it takes the help of Jesus. That's the key to contentment. So how do we make that journey? With the help of Jesus, how do we make that journey? Well, there's 3 mental shifts that we need to make to lean into contentment. And so I've written those there on your handout. You've got 3 bullets. All of them have blanks. I'll make sure to get those filled for you. Number 1, to be content, I will refuse to trade self for stuff. Refuse to trade self for stuff. Now, we don't normally think about trading self. We think about maybe trading money or trading time or trading other stuff for stuff. But there's actually a way in which our pursuit of stuff costs us ourself, our life. It can actually cost us our life. Jesus talks about this, and he's at a time in his ministry where he's becoming famous. And so if you're a follower of Jesus, one of the inner circle, and you see your leader becoming famous, it's getting exciting. Hey, this thing that we've been with from the ground up, it's getting huge. People are coming from all over. Soon, Jesus is going to be the top guy, and we're going to be next in command. We might wrestle it out to see who's going to be second in command, but this is exciting. And so Peter, one of Jesus' lead disciples, hears Jesus talking, and Jesus says something that really throws off his plans, throws off his expectations of greatness when Jesus predicts his death. Jesus tells his disciples, hey, I'm going to be hated by the leaders of the day. Then they're going to kill me. And Peter says, no, Jesus, don't let that happen. He starts pushing back on Jesus because what would happen to Peter if that happened to Jesus? Well, not good things. Not good things would happen for Peter. And then Jesus puts Peter in his place. He says, away from me, Satan. He actually pushes Peter, and that's a pretty big accusation. Away from me, Satan. And then Jesus turns to the crowd, all who are near, and he says this. And calling the crowd to him with his disciples, he said to them, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would possibly come up with all, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. It is through this craving that some are away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs. That word pangs is like woes. In child speak, it's owies. This craving for riches, faith. Solomon, the man I spoke of earlier, the richest man, he began wholeheartedly following after God. God gave him incredible wisdom, and with the wisdom, he acquired a ton of wealth. That's why he was the richest man in the world, but at the end of his life, he rejected God. He turned away from God. You probably know people like this as well. Start out completely on track with God, but then as blessings come into their life, they find a new God. That's the blessings themselves. This verse, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Money is not the problem. It's the love of money. The love of money, that's the root of all kinds of evil. God's not anti-money. He's anti-you loving money because it's not worth it. It's nothing in comparison with Him. Money can solve some things. It promises a lot of great stuff. It promises the ability to fix any problem. If you just have a few more dollars, you can fix just about any problem for now. But there's a lot of stuff it can't fix. And it's not really all that reliable. It can be What God is concerned about is not us having too much or too little of money, but about our money having us. That's what God's concerned about. Does our money have us? It makes a terrible boss. God is concerned with the condition of our hearts, and he actually uses money to test the condition of our hearts. So if you want a check and balance, if very little is also dishonest in much. Do you find ways of fudging the truth, especially when it's little and doesn't seem to count? Dishonest in little, dishonest in much. Then if you have not been faithful in unrighteous wealth, which he's talking about physical cash, money, who will entrust to you the true riches? That means there's something far greater than money. There's riches God will open up his coffers to us that are far better than just the dollar. But we don't get to take a crack at that until we've demonstrated faithfulness with unrighteous wealth, the physical things, mammon in life. And if you've not been faithful with that which is another's, who will give you that which is your own? Another's, your own. I had a pastor tell me this long ago before I started renting houses, like getting into rent houses myself. And my wife and I, the first 10 years of our marriage, we lived in a house that we rented. Several of them, actually. We move a lot. But I had this in the back of my head. How am I going to take care of this person's property? It's not mine. But if I want someday to have something of my own, this verse is saying, I need to be faithful with that which is another's. I need to take good care of this thing. It's not mine, it's somebody else's. I need to demonstrate faithfulness with other people's stuff. Perhaps then someday the Lord will grant me something of my own. And then he rallies it all together, sums it up. No servant can have two masters, for he will either hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. He makes it plain as day right there at the end. So whom do you serve? Whom do you serve? Little much, unrighteous, righteous, another person's, your own. Whom will you serve? The way that we use money, even if it's little or someone else's stuff, can reveal to us the condition of our hearts. How am I treating the things God has granted me already? God wants us to use it well, actually. And next week, we're going to dig in a lot more depth in some scriptural wisdom about the usage of money. But here's one little snippet from Proverbs, chapter 27, verses 23 through 24. Know well the condition of your flocks. Give attention to your herds, for riches do not